hopefully.
Yeah, I can hear you.
That's a good sign. All right, cool. Well, I forgot to unmute for the parks or water meeting a while ago, so apparently. All right. So then this is the
And
historic,
you're recording.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Historic District Commission, August 3rd, 2026. The meeting is being recorded. It is 7:07 PM. So I guess we might as well jump right into it. So there's a public hearing.
Yeah.
For 8 Washington Street for a certificate of applicability, appropriateness, whatever it is, some of A, and maybe we should talk about whether it's that or should be something else. But I guess I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
All those in favor?
Somebody's gonna second it.
I second it.
Hi.
If it 100 times and I'll still do it wrong. I'm real official over here.
So I think the applicant's here if they want to speak to what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I have a presentation too. I don't know if I'm able to
You should be able to,
share.
unless something's changed.
Let's see. Great. This is my work computer. I won't be able to grant permission for the slideshow portion to be
Okay,
recorded. I think it might still let me.
if you email it to me,
Share?
I can share it, if that helps. Teams.
Do you want me to send it to you so you can
Yeah,
share it?
whatever's
so it's
easier to
recorded in
record.
it?
Teams
I
was.
think it will let me put it up, but I'm not sure if it's important for the recording to have it.
Yeah, it is, but I don't know if Teams will just record it anyway, or how that works. No idea.
I think just share it with Dan,
Yeah.
I think would be the first step, and then we'll just kind of go from there and see if.
It's interesting, that's long.
If you're recording here,
Yeah.
and you pull it up on your screen, it should.
If I'm, no, that's interesting, if your computer blocks like your account,
Yeah.
won't let your content be recorded, I wonder what it does with that.
I know it lets my own like video be
Yeah.
recorded. I'll appear there, but I'm not sure.
That's interesting, yeah, I know we've had weirdness with like Woodward and Curtis for water study, same deal, it's like, they can't, like, we can't share because it's their corporate account.
Just right here.
Microsoft makes it more complicated. It needs to be. And I don't know if you saw, hopefully everything's so good with Karen.
What?
Karen's last minute, so I can't make it this tonight, sorry for the last minute notice. So,
Okay, I shared it with you, so it should
Okay.
come over in a minute. Here's a printed copy in case it comes out wanting up there. You have this one, because I think that whole packet might need to go to Dan, so I don't know if it's all the pieces that were mentioned on the checklist.
somewhere I have one of those controller things.
Is there the AD application?
Oh, yeah, it makes it. There we go. Yes. Oh, so there's Kathy, so now we have a quorum of the historic, right? 1, 2,
Brought
3, 4.
floor.
Punch kit. You still need to punch your numbers.
Okay, so you are doing command and Z.
Yes.
There.
I hope at least.
Did you have termites like throughout, like most of it, or were you able to?
It looks like the termites had been managed. There's evidence in a couple of areas where they had to like remove the roof, remove the ceiling in a little part of the living room, I think in that front wall. There's some evidence upstairs where they had burned into the floorboards. But there hasn't been any
Like,
current evidence.
Oh,
It looks
okay.
like it was
so they like checked
taken
the
care of.
sills and
Yeah.
everything, okay, good,
There's some carpet drains in one window, but that's a,
yeah,
we put some carpet drains.
yeah.
Right.
Are we good?
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
great,
All right.
all right, so we are here representing the home at 8 Washington Street. It is a lovely little yellow house that's very visible from the center, so I'm glad that we're here, I'm glad that you all exist and we can think through these things together. If we go to the third slide, I am Ariel, this is Lisa, who's the homeowner. But if we go to the third slide here, this is the existing exterior of the home. So Lisa bought it in March. At that time, it needed a roof so badly that there wasn't no mortgage company was gonna look at this house, not even for do it within a reasonable amount of time, no. So we loved the house for all the reasons, really wanted to save and preserve the house, so we made it happen. But definitely fixing the roof was top of the list in terms of that first step for preservation, making sure that that building envelope is sealed. On the next slide, these are our neighbors. So that portion of Washington Street was not obviously the original farm, but they are the dwellings that were built up. 4 farmhands on that land, and then there are 2 neighbors who are period homes and 2 neighbors who are 20th century additions, but again, a very close-knit, a very tight community. It seems like people who come and stay for a long time and really commit to it, which is definitely our hope in the home. Too. I live in Uxbridge, we've got 2 young kids, so it was really important that we were all together and that could be part of building that in the future.
You don't have that.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
So on the next slide, it's definitely needed. So as you can see from these photos here, and then I have a few on the next page as well, we had a lot of leaks this past winter. Obviously, we had all of the snow and ice damming. These leaks, yes, they were active and wet this winter. They were not just from this particular winter. The 3-tab roof on this house was put on when the house was renovated in 1980, so it was double its lifespan. I feel like every day we went out this spring, there would be more shingles that had fallen out of the roof. So it felt a little bit stressful, and as you can see on that previous one, they found a whole number of spaces where there was just nothing there. That's what happened when they took the asphalt off. There was just large gaps, which was it's not surprising. It also explained the water inside the house, and it was good to have.
And now you can insulate it too, probably?
So they had insulated they had done floor insulation on the crawl space above
That's good.
the main part of the house. But yes, we'll be able to insulate it from the bottom and the rest of the attic portion. So in terms of material, the concept of a metal roof can look like all sorts of different things. Specifically, what we are looking at is a 24 gauge metal, which is a little bit thicker than that 26 gauge. It helps to reduce the oil canning, which is the wavy lines that you sometimes see. We're looking at, so in this bottom left picture, it would be the one on the left. So that matte finish that has pencil ribs in it. They're really hard to see from the road, so it doesn't have that corrugated look, especially in that matte finish, but it makes it even less likely to have oil canning if a tree branch falls on it, where it's a little bit better protected there. And then again, going with that matte finish so that it is a little bit more like wood shakes, like asphalt shingles, but not big shiny metal roof looking up from the center of town there. On that next slide, so modern standing seam metal roofing is who we are looking at to complete the job. They specialize in just exactly this. They do on-site roll form metal, so the metal sheets cover the entire length of the roof. There are no seams going across it, which is of course important for not having water intrusion. Also helps it look a little bit better. And part of the reason for going with them is because we have detailing, original trim detailing on the soffits that other contractors were suggesting, well, it would just be easier if we took it off and wrapped the whole thing. And their first and obvious answer was, of course you would not want to do that. This is how we would instead treat the edges of the roof. And then of course, the really unique angle, the pitch change in the roof, which right now means that we have a giant long ice dam that forms in the asphalt shingles. But it's something that was built into the house originally and then extended when they added, like the second half of that kitchen is part of the 1980s addition, but they kept that roof line to mirror the porch there. So it was important that we could obviously keep that on the back as well. And then just thinking about the kind of the why can it be historically accurate? It is true that based on this being a farmhouse, this house probably had cedar shakes as its first roof. It would be amazing to have that, but it's not practical now for a lot of reasons. But beginning around 1850, the first occupant for the home was 1857, so not unrealistic that a mid to late 1800s house would have a metal roof. It was particularly galvanized. Roofing became increasingly common here later in the 19th century. Asphalt shingles developed because of metal scarcities after World War II and have only just come back around because of not just advancements in manufacturing, but also that shift towards we actually would like to put fewer things in the landfill. We would like to have something that lasts longer. And I think that that's also my uncle is a conservationist for the state of New Hampshire, and something I was talking to him about what would be appropriate. And he was saying they are seeing so many more districts think or flex on the idea because of
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I drive up
investment
north
now,
all
it's
the
gonna-
time and I see all the houses covered in
Yeah.
roofing, so it's not
Yeah.
abnormal to
There's so
see,
many.
yeah.
Yeah, and then, so then in along those lines, thinking about something that has low upkeep requirements, like I said, we are hoping that Lisa will be able to stay in my house for her whole life. But so something that is manageable for all of us, and as much as, we hope that the house stays in our family, also thinking about if something does change, if the house does have to get sold, well, from a historical perspective, well, the next family and the one after that will have a look of a house that is consistent. Nobody's going to be taking off a metal roof that is perfectly good. I think most things I've kind of covered in the previous slides there. And then similarly, thinking about this particular roof, we are thinking about going with the 24 gauge instead of 26 gauge. That pushes it towards that 80 to 100 year lifespan because it's not actually a massive roof. The price difference made sense. It was pretty minimal. And that final point too of it being a cooler environment within the house because the attic was converted into 2 tiny bedrooms. It is hot upstairs. And so anything that we can do to help that be more sustainable, because even the heat wave we have without the air conditioning, it was almost 100 in those 2 rooms, which are just, fortunately her bedroom's downstairs, but thinking about using it as a complete house, without relying on AC. And then finally, this was that structural piece that you noted. There is some termite damage in the frame, particularly along the front wall. That's the wall that we know about. It doesn't seem to be active anymore. And there's one beam that they have replaced, repaired. So I'm not worried about, we didn't come into it feeling like, oh, there's definitely structural work to be done. That said, the metal roof that we're thinking about will be about 50% of the weight of an asphalt roof, and have that additional structural component where it is locked together rather than those shingles flexing. So it's certainly not going to hurt the structure of the house, and there's that possibility that it will be helpful. But thank you. Really,
Thank you for a very detailed presentation. You know, obviously, we don't expect anybody to be putting cedar shingles on.
I wish.
You know, and I think that it's quite apparent that the roof needed to be replaced. What did you say, that the 3-tab shingles are from the 80s? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, have no issue with the metal roof as long as it's not like, I don't know how to say the cheaper version of it, right? So the super shiny glossy, where, you know, your neighbor turns on their lights at night and the sun is like reflecting off of it and blinding everyone, that's not really, probably wouldn't be great, but the standing seam metal roofs seem to hold up and would have preserved the property, so for me, I mean, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you know, we see so many of these houses that are, by the time they're, you know, in a complete shambles, so I think something that keeps this house.
For 80
You know,
years.
we're not back in historic in 3 years proposing demolition delay.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the roof is caved in, you know, I think it buys the house a lot more time. The one question I would ask, do you feel, would it make more sense that this should be a certificate of hardship, or is this a certificate of appropriateness? I don't know if it really matters, it just,
I
we
mean,
did that once with the one solar thing.
did you plan on putting solar on the roof?
Not because of the size of the roof.
Okay.
And it's something that we have a full roof of solar on the back of, we're not in the historic district from Uxbridge.
Okay.
We have a 1700s house, we have a full roof, 30-foot panels on the back, which you cannot see from anywhere. And it works for us, but because of the size of her roof and her electric consumption, you know, she's not a family of 4 or 5 when she lived with us, and kids and the whole thing, it just didn't make any sense.
Okay.
So no.
That's fine then. Yeah.
I don't know if it matters, I know like we did it that, I'm trying to think of what it was. I think it was the ground mounted solar we said.
Was a certificate of
And
hardship.
we did it because
And
specifically.
they were supposed to put the shrubs in front of it.
That's a whole other issue. I'm just wondering, you know.
So, yeah, I wonder, you know, when you get into a situation where it's appropriateness versus hardship, you know, do you define it as one or the other? What might open doors for other issues?
Well, right, I see what you're saying, like, so, I mean, for me, because it's a matte standing seam roof, I would call, I mean, you could call asphalt shingles appropriateness, so why wouldn't you be able to call a standing seam? I mean, neither of them were original, do you know what I mean? So the argument becomes, well, then why is one more appropriate than the other?
Yeah.
So for me, it would be an appropriateness certificate, but I think maybe what we need to do is we need to clarify in our design guidelines what type of metal roofing is appropriate and what isn't. Because there are a lot, I'm sure as you were shopping, and there are some that are some people will throw on a shed, but then sometimes like you'll be driving up north and you see how, and you know, that was probably a hardship issue, right? But people will like roll out metal on the roof, so we don't want to see that.
Right.
So I think we need to define it in the guidelines.
I'm adding that to my list of notes on draft guidelines.
Because it's so popular right now, and we're seeing it, I mean, it is very expensive to do in comparison to asphalt shingles. So but we are seeing more of it because of the longevity of the roof. But I just think we need to be careful with how we define
We
it.
don't really say much, and I know, I mean, like, you know, we're gonna talk about a barn later on, you know,
I just,
if had that barn had a more appropriate, longer roof, it might not now be.
dilapidated, yeah. So I think, for me, I'm all for the appropriateness, I just wanted to find it at some point. So,
Do we, again, don't, like, I'm not against, I'm in favor of this, but were there other historic uses in metal roofs in Mendon? I'm curious. We didn't really get that much of it.
maybe barns, big barns.
Mostly barns,
Yeah.
yeah. There are very few that still survive, but.
And I mean, you could make the argument that Washington was more of an agricultural area, so
Yeah.
maybe appropriate.
But I
I'm really trying to get something.
in the context of this situation in this house, I think it makes sense. You know, and I think this is, you know, a house that likely would have.
I think
tear down
that
and knocked
if you
another barn or so.
continue, and if you continue to put asphalt shingles on it that supposedly last 30 years, but we know they're really 25. So if you continue to do that for a house like this, that already has very old timber, right? With hopefully not any more termite damage or carpenter ant damage, but the reality is when you have an old house, there's always going to be critters and bugs that start to eat it over time, and then you're gonna have to replace wood over time. So if we can keep it dry with a metal roof, then I think that would be, I'm all for it.
So I guess, is there any other comments from anyone, or otherwise, I think we close the hearing and vote on it.
Just everyone,
Yeah. Are you good, Deb? Anything to add?
No, nothing to add. Thank you.
Actually, before what do we want to put in the specific conditions for the permit? Or do we just specify like
the standing,
material?
the certificate of appropriateness for a standing, what did you say the gauge was?
24, and I did include in this packet here the printout of our contract. So if that's helpful, any details of the product, color,
Yeah,
that sort of thing is.
I don't know if we want to specify, you know,
Are you gonna put the,
Yes, it's gonna have a snow rail over the front porch,
Mhm.
back door.
we have a standing seam on our farm porch, and in the winter, I tell the girls, go, if you have to work, and close the door and, you know, that's important.
I was gonna, I mean, I think if we care about the.
24 gauge matte finish, yeah, definitely not,
Specify brand or anything like that.
24 gauge standing seam, right?
And it's a hidden fastener system, which might make a difference when we look on other people's.
Yes, yep. With hidden cuts.
Matte finish. Not mentioning color because we can't regulate color.
Yeah, we can, no.
On a roof, maybe we should.
I believe it's preempted in the bylaw. Because I
We
think
were just in Maine this weekend and there's the most beautiful house ever, and they put on a standing seam roof, but it was bright red, like, so bright.
Yeah.
And it was such a beautiful house, because it's such a pain.
Yeah.
the color of material used on roofs is excluded. I think
Yeah.
that was some of the stuff that they put in this because that was the only way this was gonna pass. Is to-
But, I mean,
But it could be amended to,
Let's amend
Right.
that.
you know,
does it address metal roofs or it's just the color?
just as roofs.
It's
Roofs,
ambiguous.
period. But I think,
Fair adaptation, like there's not royal blue asphalt roofs, but there are royal blue
Oh,
metal
yeah,
roofs.
there are, and it was argued to me that that was colonial. I'm pretty sure it's not.
yeah, at some point, we're gonna need to undertake another review of these guidelines.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot, there's been various projects that brought up questions.
I think like as certain materials become more
Yeah.
popular, you know, we need to read this.
And I have a whole page of notes on all the things that came up that we said, gee.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Siding and like soffits and trim boards, how are you handling that?
Everything is going to get, like everything that is wood there currently is going to stay wood, nothing's getting wrapped in aluminum. We have some woodworking, carpentry repairs to do on it.
Okay.
But if anything, like there's one piece where a squirrel has kind of eaten the corner of the soffit, so we need to replicate some molding on it,
Okay.
but we will replicate the molding
Okay.
for that.
So, I just asked if you're gonna undertake
Oh,
any
and sign
sort
the
of
state
like,
landlord. That was such a selling
Okay.
point on the house.
okay, so if you're gonna undertake any sort of like, other exterior renovations, you know, obviously full permit, you might have to come in front of us again, but I just wanted you to.
Change the
Yeah.
exterior architectural features.
Yeah.
Well, we
I will-
also appreciate that you're investing in it.
Yeah.
We have a whole house, but.
So are you staying in Uxbridge or you, or?
Yeah, it's her house.
Okay,
But
I was living with them in Uxbridge at their house, but now I've bought my own, so it's just me.
okay,
So we had 5 years to start the renovations in our house, so we moved in 2021.
okay.
And now we get to just maintain that one and renovate another one.
That's a great
Yeah, Lord, I know,
But,
I
yeah,
know.
exactly. So,
No, where in Uxbridge do you live?
we are in the Colonial right across from Riverbend.
Oh, I love that.
So we need paint and windows, but
Yeah, but it's
they're.
beautiful. Oh my God, I love that little section too. Sweet.
That's a nice spot. Okay, yeah, so I would just put,
I just. One floor gauge, expanding seam, no roof.
Be busy.
Yeah. Alright, 24 gauge standing seam metal roof, hidden fast resistant. That's actually the same button. Alright, so I guess.
so all those in favor,
We take and make a motion to close the public hearing,
sorry,
so
you're wrong.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Alright.
and then it would be a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness as discussed, subject to the conditions as discussed.
I second that.
And I,
Now we're gonna record it.
You know you're doing great.
No, I've said it wrong actually 5 times.
are you, Deb?
So-
Aye, yep. Sorry, with you.
Alright. So it passes unanimously. I will close this out in the system at some point. And then, actually, I should do it now so you can sign it later, hunt it down later. It looks like, actually, it looks like they already issued your permit, because John might close this too, but that's fine.
So you guys are great. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
presentation. I really appreciate it. And so, so maybe one of you wants to join the district, who knows? We might prefer you.
How long does it take before they
Wow.
can proceed with the work?
What?
How long does it take before they can proceed with the work?
They can start now, so unfortunately, the roofing company apparently went and started work without a permit, that's not our purview. When it got flagged in the system is when it all got held up, and then we had this conversation. It looks like John went and completed my step, which I don't know why, because we had a hearing, but, so the permit's been issued on July 22nd. I think it's been sent to them.
Will I receive a copy of the certificate of appropriate?
You'll get this certificate, yeah, I can send you a copy, or actually, if you wanna wait a second, I can just give it to you. I need to enter some information, I don't want to do it in a meeting, I'll mail a copy,
Okay. Sounds good.
because I need to plug in all that. And there's a section in here for hearing fees, you don't have to pay that, we just put them in here to keep track of them, there is no fee for the district. But just in case you see that in the system.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Bye, have a nice night.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, so that's that. The other hearing we almost had for the historic commission was the barn at 69 Providence Street. However, the building commissioner went and inspected and determined that it was a hazard and needed to be demolished
Without any
without
record,
further.
no photographs of it.
Well, so I spoke with the property owner, and so I hesitant to get it, I believe it's still standing, I have not been out there yet. I have the phone number, if somebody wants to reach out and go, they're happy to go and take pictures and document things. If you have time, I can send it to you.
Yeah.
From what I
Would you mind?
understand,
I'll just see if I can.
things, work may be paused, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I
I mean, I think we all can see
it's
roadside is in rough shape. Be nice if they issued one for the one on Blackstone Street, it's already blown out halfway.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
You know the story.
you know, that's part of the problem, is once John goes and looks at them, he basically has no choice but to condemn them. He's supposed to send us a formal letter, I think we're still waiting on that. Look it up again, what was it?
Because he's looked at it, so right, so if anything were to happen, he would be liable if he didn't condemn it.
I mean, that's what Tim had told us before, is like, he's like, you almost don't want me to come look at these properties, because once I get in there and discover that, like, you know,
So, I mean, what do you do, because that barn on Blackstone Street, it has like a half wall in the back, a half a wall on the side, and it's wide open, and if that thing falls, and I've called on it before, but nobody,
yeah, I would talk to John, and if you're not getting a response from John, I would talk to the select board
yeah,
and or town administrator.
I mean, this
Are you talking
is,
about the barn that's like half falling down on Blackstone Street? Yeah. Some kid is gonna like go in there someday.
yeah,
It's
and
terrifying.
that's my big worry, is when it's just gonna collapse into the roadway.
It was, I inspected it, I'm declaring it unsafe, it's an imminent danger of failure and collapse. And I had said, I think, you know, we'd like a formal notice for our records, and he might send an email actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can send you the gentleman's phone number, I think he's happy for people to come take a look at it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Trying to get some pictures, and he posted some, they weren't very good. So I don't know. That's, in terms of projects, that's all I know about.
Yeah.
There hasn't been anything else. It probably would not be a bad idea if someone has time to like walk around and just keep an eye on things. I mean,
The only thing that I noticed recently was the vinyl side of house on Maple.
yeah, is that newly sided though, or been the one that think they went?
Was it the town board that was?
I think the Tudor is not vinyl sided, I think they replaced it with. But they never pulled a permit.
Okay. Don't know which, I mean, unfortunately, if they don't pull a permit, they don't know about it. And so unless somebody sees it, and then we can send them a stop work order.
So how does that happen? I mean, in Uxbridge, you pull a permit for everything. And if you don't, you answer.
Well, what happens, so I'm, like in Uxbridge, if someone doesn't pull a permit, what happens?
I mean, they'll come and visit you and they will fine you, and
Because I
in
was
some
told
cases, worse.
That's how it works in Grafton
in other towns, they like it's doubled, the fees are doubled.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a great conversation for someone to have with the select board about enforcement.
Right. It just surprises me that, you know, people aren't really aware of those things.
You know, I think unfortunately, I don't think the enforcement is very good on certain things. I mean, you're seeing it. You're seeing it, the reverse of the conservation, like now you have someone who's actually enforcing the rules. And now all these things are having to have hearings and be dealt with.
Right.
I think it's just spending.
I don't know.
Maybe focus on some things. That'd be awesome.
And the rest of this stuff, I don't think there were any minutes unless, I know we voted some stuff last time.
I have no minutes for anybody, so you can have the next one, I promise.
I didn't report it.
I don't know if we did the April ones and then the June one, there wasn't a quorum. So there was-
Okay. So I just put the dates in. And
I
then
don't know if the April one was voted on.
it might have been so behind on any number of posting things, I was trying to go board by board, and then something happened that I stopped.
I think we get
It was an A for assessor. Well, unfortunately, it's from the old, getting from the old website to the new, it's a whole process.
And bro, how is your foot? She's still in this. Deb,
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. It's okay, but I think I'm gonna be on crutches for longer than I thought.
oh no, I'm sorry to hear that.
Did you break your foot?
No, I had foot surgery on Thursday,
Ooh,
and
on
so it's
Thursday.
on Thursday. So I was like making promises that I would be at the tavern on Sunday and
You know
telling my
what,
boss I'd be at
when you
work.
are, when you're back on your feet, we will have a private tour just for you.
Well,
And I
thank
wish you
you.
were there, it was unbelievable.
I missed it.
It was spectacular, I just,
I
Yes.
saw the pictures on Facebook. It looked fabulous.
oh yeah, I think, Marty, Luttrell was there and took a ton of pictures, and I've got some great ones too, so
That's
I
great.
will share those with you.
Thank you.
Felt like a tavern, it was quite nice.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
Jane earlier today at town hall, and I just said, let us know if there's something the town can do in terms of the next steps of that space.
Stormwater management from all of those buildings on Main Street, I had no idea that we didn't have any.
Yeah,
It starts at
that's
the records room?
That's a John question as to what the next steps are. I know we are undertaking a survey of the whole town of like our inventory of everything, asset management, did we get a grant?
Right,
And so I don't know what the deliverable is on that, but that's
so
all
do
John
we
Doe
know
knows.
what, if anything, is gonna happen with the road work? Because, I mean, you know, that road is, Route 16 is
Everything-
elevated, if they're not,
Isabella has the
Yeah.
plans. So Concom would have ruled on that stuff, I don't have those plans.
Is it just eroding the yard or the like?
yeah, just
into the
it
dam?
pours into the yard,
Yeah,
and it's been going on forever. You know,
There's-
which,
all the drains are like hidden or clogged, it's
Yeah.
not really maintained
well,
well.
we walk down the length of the road and there are no catch basins on that side of the road. It's
Yeah.
all on the other side. And there's only like 2 or 3 of them. And then, of course, they're better down here, but, I'm just worried when that gets underway, what kind of additional problems that would cause, if anything, if they're not planning for it.
And I have not heard anything else from them, I know they were still exploring, it sounds like Civil War is fine.
Yeah,
We don't have an answer on the new location. I think it's on us to find a location for that sign, but I'm not sure. I think that's still a couple years out.
I had no idea that there was a metal sign where the island is
The
at
one in the middle.
Providence.
Oh, the one by Pack.
Oh, is there a little sign there?
The buffer, no, there's a standing sign.
But it's not, it's a
just
flat
like-
metal sign, it's not engraved. It's a flat printed sign, it's not a cast sign. Let's see, I have a picture of it. Remember Copeland Street View.
Not the one on the stone, but the one that's standing.
Yeah,
I don't know why I've never picked up on
yeah,
that.
I had wondered if those are something we should be, but I don't think they're actually that, but it's not,
Oh, one
it's
of
this.
those, that's like what's up in,
It's printed though, it's not in any sort of,
that's printed?
yeah, like it's old, but it's a sign, it's a
So
flat
that's
sign.
not what's like in the center island?
No, it's not
on-
a cast
Okay.
iron or whatever, cast bronze sign. There's a couple of these, and there's a couple of these on the town line too.
When did those go in?
I don't know, that's a question for somebody as to like that, I would have to assume like, I don't know,
Yeah.
50, 60, 70, 80.
Cute,
I mean, when did they start doing flat? 70s, 80s?
yeah.
There's a bunch of them on the town lines that are like, it'll say like Blackstone Mendon, and some of
Who's
them are
managing, whose yard is
oval-shaped.
this?
So this is the King Philip Memorial.
Oh, that is.
The person that's been the caretaker of this monument is John Trainer.
Oh,
He's been for years, goes and does all the landscaping. When the town finally does something with this house, we need to have a conversation about carving off this.
yeah.
I don't know where the actual road right of way is. but they kind of just picked this up and moved it, and I'm not, it may kind of be on private property, but we need to have this all surveyed and identified.
So just as an aside, just because we're talking about signs, are we gonna dig in on the district signs?
Well, I
At
think
least
that,
start.
It's
I'm
on,
fine to dig on it, but I don't know.
it's on the agenda as a placeholder, and I think we need to come up with a proposal with dollars.
Yeah,
I think the ones that you presented were awesome.
If we can get, and figure out where they're gonna go and what they're gonna cost,
okay.
we can try and bring it.
Even if we just
What
have
meeting
one
would that
time this
have
year.
to, how do
We
we?
would need to have a clear proposal with dollar amounts and like what they're gonna be and where they're gonna go
did Karen say about it?
by like, honestly, September 1st would be good.
Oh, okay,
Because I think we need to send it to the select board and for the town meeting. You know, I mean, it depends if we're talking, if it turns out the total cost is like $8,000, that's
Yeah.
chunk change. If it's 50,000, that's a different conversation.
Right.
So I think I forget, because you had found something, if we can just ask her for,
I'm
Price.
seeing what she said.
I know FinCom's gonna have a million questions.
Right.
So if we go to them and just say signs, we'll get kicked out of the meeting. We have to have.
Yeah, so we will get those details ironed out. Dan, are you thinking the same time frame for the restoration of those signs?
So I think those signs, the restoration of those signs, it's approved. It's just a matter of physically removing the signs and driving the wall pole, which is probably a project for this fall.
Why do we have to drive them over there?
Well, we can pay
It's a
them,
little interesting that, you can't, I mean, did they come off the post or no?
yeah, I assume we're gonna have to figure out how they're attached, probably unbolt it, cut it, and then pick that top, it just sits on the post.
Right.
You know, so the one of them I assume we'll take down as we're just going in storage once it's fixed, so it has its new location.
Yeah,
The tercentenary sign we'll have to do, and then I mean,
All right.
it's no big deal to bring them up there.
right, okay, so
So this
I
is
didn't
what,
mean like pulling out a ball.
No, just the top, the flat piece.
so Karen is saying the type of sign you were showing is cast aluminum plaque.
Yeah,
And then she said, you go into Upton, so they did a job on, you can drive by it, just past the Rose Garden and before UHOP, I don't know what that is, Upton, House of Pizza. I'm also attaching the mock-up from that job, so you can see the warranty. Upton sign cost $1,365 in 2017, and they did not do the post or the installation. That was taken care of by their highway department.
I would suggest
So, and then she said, do
we should just do everything inclusive. If
not have the highway
Have her do
department?
everything, soup to nuts, if you want it
Okay,
done in a timely manner,
Okay.
obviously very gently and kindly that.
well, she said here's a
Department's very
link to
busy.
some historic type signpost she can get. So she sent me a link. Once I know the sizes and possible content, she can make up a proof and provide a price. Cast plaques charged by font, numbers of character, etc. So she needs the details to get an accurate cost.
Where was it, the Rose Garden?
She said just past the Rose Garden? Oh, here's,
Going into town or the other way?
Oh, it was further down, okay, I see.
this is the plaque, on this email.
Yeah,
Post.
Email.
I
So
can never
this
find.
is what, I have a privacy screen, so which is all of this. Alright, you'll sign in. So here, that was what she did for Upton, but she said that was cast. I don't love it, but that's what she did for them.
It's a little tight.
But that was 24 by 30, right? And it said, cause like she said,
What's that say?
so 1365 each. So 1,365. I would say that's 2017.
Where were we?
That was almost 10 years ago.
Oh my God.
Nothing's gonna, everything, the cost of materials is probably double.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where are we thinking they would
So I would
go?
expect to be paying at least
2,500, 3,000.
Yeah,
Where
But that's just for the sign, not the post and the install.
right.
they cannot go on 16 without a whole bunch of it. Although that one went on 140, so I wonder how they got away with it, but that again, that might be a John question. I know I asked once and was
But
told.
like this post is ugly,
Yeah,
that they, I don't know if that's what they ended up putting it on, or if that was just part of her mock-up.
you know, but if you did one like at the entrance of Washington Street, and then maybe somewhere,
I mean, really, 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 I love the one that you proposed. You know, the one on kind of like a light post and a bracket. I
Yeah,
thought
that was
those were
nice.
beautiful.
Oh, yeah, well,
Loved to do
I'm
that.
gonna have to pay for that. So now we need electrical going into a post.
No, solar.
We could, a solar lamp post.
you don't light it up, you just have the post.
But you know, I would hate to see it, I would hate to see it,
You know, if you get a light post like that. With, so, I mean, I would ask her if she could do something like that.
did we like the gold and the black, or did you like the green and the black?
I think it was the gold and the black.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, we'll see what this is at. And then, like, cause you go by number of characters, right? So you would do like town and historic district, are you gonna write known as, what is ChatGPT called? Known as Mother Mendon's area was held and blah, 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 blah. Like, are you writing all that, or are we just, no?
We would just do
Like
it.
Mendon Center District,
Center
Watt District,
district.
whatever.
Yeah.
This historic district portrays the can you read it? The resilient spirit of the original.
I say that about everyone, every town.
Destroyed in Painkiller Farm.
Anyway,
I mean, you know, whether it's worth doing a sign for like, you know, in front of
Yeah.
Sandra's house or Jane's house too, I don't know, would you do smaller, like a sign on the road that is, you know,
Yeah, I mean, it's also something that we could pick up in Founder's Park.
yeah,
well, I think like, so like, sorry, so but like the Mendon Town, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
My dirty screen.
Yeah.
The Mendon Town Hall is black and it has like those gold letters on it, so we just kind of go, I
Yeah,
think we would
same
just,
style.
yeah. Alright, I'll put it on my to-do.
but then so
Hey,
what,
Karen. Karen.
how many, like, where would we put them? So like,
I think that's
the entrance to Washington,
What's that?
where would they go? Like, how many do we need? That's what we figure.
I don't know, like, cause I feel like
Entrance to
Washington Street, though, like what entrance to Washington, like as you're
Off
coming
of
down?
16,
So off of 16, you think?
because the district ends halfway down then. Could, I mean, I don't know, if money's go
So
off.
at the beginning of Washington where they're doing road work? Or are you talking about in the middle of Washington where it begins?
I'm thinking, I mean, I don't know,
No one's gonna see it over
both
there.
sides.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I think the goal is visibility.
I think if this is gonna cost a lot of money and the district doesn't have a lot of money, then we should
Well, again, I
prioritize like
I don't,
one impactful sign for now and then like have a little,
I would suggest if this entire project is under 10,000, we shouldn't be limiting ourselves. If we can get 5 signs for $10,000, that's
Okay.
not a lot of
Let's
money.
do it, yeah.
Let town meeting vote no, let FinCom vote no.
Okay.
I would start with that and say, here's what we wanna do. You know, we can't go to them and say, we want $800,000 for signs, but I think 10,000, 12,000.
okay,
And we, you know, I just looked and said, we voted $40,000 for windows and then sat and done nothing with it.
Right, right. I mean, we voted 10,000 to move the weights and measures, and we've only spent 1,000, so.
Yeah, I mean, we
It's
actually,
not like we're,
I think
okay, alright,
we abuse, you know.
I just assumed.
this cannot be CPA funded. This is not CPA eligible.
No, so
No,
we would need the town to.
But I think there's, I don't know, I think there's appetite for stuff like this that's,
I do too, and I think, you know, with the tavern being open and people coming through, I think that in the whole ceremony on here, I think that sparks some interest in people who might not have otherwise really paid much attention.
Yeah.
You know?
could you do like 3 of them? You know,
Yeah,
entrance
I'll
of
find
Providence Street, Main Street, you can even do it at Maple,
Yeah. I would
that's
definitely-
3, and then a 4th one in Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're, this will be expensive, but the other ones are 2,000 a piece, that's only 8,000 plus installation.
Made
Yeah.
people.
And it turns out, I just remember that, I know that the cast plaque we did for the playground was like $2,000. And that was, again, that was 20 years ago.
I mean, this is, it's not like we're asking money for something that's gonna need to be replaced in
Yeah,
10,
not
20
going
years. Hopefully this will be a one and done, and it will be a permanent, part of the community.
So she gave me the site where they're probably ordering their cast plaques from, she's just
Yeah.
probably ordering it out,
What's the name of the site?
Gemini.com.
and then we can ask, I would suggest just have her do the installation. You get it approved by the people that need to approve, but just have it be done. Instead of having it sitting in a corner waiting for the day that they get scheduled, but then they gotta pay you, and they just,
Right.
they're so busy.
Yeah, that was the same with the weights and measures. It was just a nightmare thinking that, we were gonna ask volunteers to move that, and it's a good thing we didn't, because it was a lot more involved.
Yeah, Karen, it's on the agenda, but how was it, did they end up just going up the stairs?
Yeah, they took it up the
Did
stairs.
they take pretty much everything out of it, other than the scale?
Yeah, we took everything out,
Yeah.
and they loaded everything up, and then we just,
I can't believe, $600, I guess, for the sake of the meeting, so $600, the bill will hopefully go out this week. That's like nothing.
and they were great to work with. They didn't know what they were getting into. I didn't know what they were getting into. I thought it was a cabinet, and
Yeah.
they had to take the whole middle apparatus out
It's a cabinet.
and reconnect the whole thing, and they did a beautiful job. Really good kids.
It's upstairs.
Yeah, if you ever want to see it, here's this is
What's
the,
upstairs?
It's-
Oh, it is upstairs?
Oh, that's gonna go in
Who
that.
moved this? Who moved it? Gallo?
Gallo.
Oh, Gallo moved
Yeah.
it? Oh, great.
This is for fabric measuring, so, but it weights and measures everything under the sun. From liquids to,
So cool.
metals and gold and silver and.
Did you get that ballot counting thing that was over there?
Yes, that I'm cleaning up, and I'm
Okay.
only gonna send that
Cause that
to,
was sitting up there too. on top of
Yeah.
it.
because there's a note about when it was patented, so once we figure out how it's actually used, and it literally is, it was a ballot counting, it just looks like a board, and it's got a couple of things on it, so.
Oh, yeah.
I Googled, there's instructions on how to use it, it like measures the height of the paper or something.
Oh my God, is that true?
So I think we should look into getting it, we need to figure out some sort of open front to it,
Yeah.
whether we just call it Milford and have them just do a clear. The problem is, I don't know what you do with the doors.
We can take them off.
When they have stuff, the one has things on them.
Oh, it's got labels on it. Can we hang it on the wall?
Yeah, do that, or even open the door and have the doors open, and just, we have to slide it over,
Right,
the door sticks
right.
out of it. And then having like, at least something next to it. I took that side piece and put it underneath again.
Yeah,
And I texted you the code, just so nobody messes
yeah,
with it. I
thank
did,
you.
at some point, we could probably fabricate something that fits a little better, but I didn't wanna put new holes in it, so I used the existing holes.
Yeah,
Just so, some little kid isn't sticking in there.
yeah, and then maybe we can get a display case for,
Well, I think that's what Hazel says, there's occasionally stuff that comes up.
Yeah.
Things on, sorry about,
Like if we look around, here, commercial retail display case of drawer, $150, free glass display cases in West Warwick. So
I
like,
think the thing is, as long as we can pick something seems like it fits in this building,
here,
not this stuff. The original part of the building that's still here.
This building
this is
you're
what-
referring
It's what I'm seeing on Facebook.
Okay, this tiny little sign is the one that she's talking about, that was 1,300.
That, okay, yeah, that, I can never find it on the Google Street.
And it's got an ugly post.
Yeah, but they probably just used a stock signpost.
Yeah, it looks like,
I mean, I've been talking
how do
to,
I know one sees it, Karen? And also, Yeah, no, we're not doing that. That's ridiculous.
I know there's a lot of discussion about this building. Kat, I think Kat showed it to you. Kat did like an AI.
Yes.
So we found a study, I don't know if I shared it with the commission. And again, we probably have to put this on our agenda for a bigger discussion. Somebody did a study in the 90s that suggested the stage, get rid of behind the stage, drop it to ground level, turn it into an office and just put a facade and keep the facade. So then you can reclaim that space and then you could have like a portable stage if you needed it. So Kat had AI do this up, so it's, I'll share it, it's kind of, schlocky AI, but just the concept of you close this off, make this space a little more formal, keep the historic stage, but then the space behind it can become usable. Get rid of that elevator, just drop it down to ground level or floor level.
For upstairs?
For upstairs.
What do you think about that?
She did one with, if I can find it.
I didn't- I
You
didn't-
should go upstairs and look at it before,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I mean, I didn't think it would look horrible, but then you lose that wood flooring.
This is the.
Somebody should take those fans out, cause you wanna talk about making
You don't-
things a
you
little
don't
bit
love
more
those?
historically accurate, I mean.
I think I've been talking to them, so I think now with Jen O'Neill being the new assistant town administrator, to me, like that position, we can hopefully leverage, like, to be the liaison on some of these projects. Because we really need to bring in like a designer, an architect. I mean, to me, it's the windows need to get done. There's some issues with the elevator that should get looped in. The whole upstairs needs to be restored, all that plaster needs to be secured. We're gonna come in, that's all gonna be on the floor someday.
Yeah.
The windows in that building, like package it all as one big project, like Mike
Yeah.
Petrovic did for us, do all the specs, all the bidding, they handle everything.
Yeah,
They do all the bullshit.
yeah,
And, we have to deal with the state,
right.
but get it all into one project. We have that architect, I mean, he seemed really good.
We just have to find him again.
I just don't know well, I have his info, the problem is there's a process that the select board adopted to select the designer, and I was trying to understand what we need to do, and I wasn't getting answers. But I think that's the stuff where you then can say that, like, hey, Jen, can you help us with this, what's the next step here? And then she can talk to Jeremy and come back and say, okay, here's what we need to do.
Right.
Do we need to go out to bid for a designer? I don't know. But I think that's a conversation into the fall and the winter we should have and figure this out.
Yeah.
They're talking about moving offices again and stuff.
Right.
That whole upstairs
Stuff going, yeah.
needs,
So the only issue I have with the stage, can you put that back up?
Yeah.
Deb, can you see that proposal for the stage?
put up the other one.
Yes,
She
I
did.
saw it.
What do you think?
And to be, sorry, hang on. It's going.
What were you
There
gonna
we
say, Dan?
No, it wasn't, you're good.
Oh, it's got pictures now.
This is the other version.
Well, yeah, there are definitely, we have photographs, but. you
Did
know,
AI crop out those ceiling fans? No.
No.
Again, to tell them to crop them.
I mean, all that too, the ceiling has to be painted, if we want those, to redo those lights, design something,
Are there curtains up there now?
no. It used to be a store
Oh, but those are nice.
that had old advertising on it. And
Really?
the problem is it was getting damaged, so it's actually on the wall in the cafeteria cloth, like mounted, but it's like sealed.
There's a lot of sentiment that people would like to see that come back.
Yeah, and I think that's it, but I'd be worried about it being damaged and not being able, like, it needs to be flat, I don't think it can hang.
Right. So, looking at a concept like this, one issue will be those offices will be very dark. You have no sunlight coming in.
I didn't even know there were offices up there.
There's not, the thought is to try and reclaim that space where the stage is as a potential office. That was the idea.
A one office situation?
I don't know, the study recommended it as being kind of a conference room space, I think, for the select board, but that was in the 90s.
What about the big open
So the problem with the stage is that elevator's going to need to go because it's blocking the hallway, and the whole third floor is technically not ADA compliant because the elevator made the stage compliant.
So I guess I'm sorry, so you're saying, or the study said, keep the open space, but then wall off the stage and put an office behind there?
This, right, yeah, this study from the 90s was to do that, put up a wall, like shown in the picture here. And then the back of it, that's the stage, drop that down, so you don't have an access issue, because it's the same height as the
Are
floor.
there any windows in there?
No.
Well, then there's no egress, you wouldn't be able to do that. Because that was the 90s. So
Yeah, who
now,
knows, I mean, you
Like, you
have
would have to
multiple
put it-
doors, you have a door on each side.
And you know, I think it's important to go up and take a look, like Dan had opened the lights, the cases for the lights on the floor, and they were all encased in wood
Yeah.
cases.
Well, you keep all that in this proposal, and I don't know, this isn't
Well-
a thing that's happening at all. You can just do a partition wall and leave the stage.
The tricky part is that it
You could do a
has such
secret
a heavy history in this building. You know, that it was built specifically for a performance of Uncle Tom's Cabin by a group that came in and wanted to do their relatives, and I think it was maybe the Davenports. Anyways, so passionate about, you know, sharing this program with the community that he built the stage. And from that point forward, they had graduations, they had the welcome home celebrations. And this was all on the stage.
why
Welcome
don't
home
we leave this stage?
from
Why
World
are
War
we covering
II.
up that? Why not bring like small little theatrical things up there? Why are we,
There's no parking,
I don't
here.
there's a lot of parking now.
Or a school in the state of the art. I'm not saying, this was just something that was, I think,
Maybe
yeah,
free parking.
looking at different
I wish
ideas.
it was a better spot that you could
Yeah,
take advantage of.
I have to close there.
But it's
But I think-
really, it's gonna be a tough sell on that.
yeah, well, I would, the state might come back also, because it's a preservation restriction on the intake.
Right.
The other thought is we also have next door. So you could always restore the upstairs of next door and turn that into a, if they're looking for a better meeting space.
Right.
That space has potential too, where it's just a big open, church hallway.
Yeah,
It could be.
it's just a ghost living out there now.
No.
But I think that's the argument, is bringing
What
in
do I know about?
an architect to help
So
us,
quiet.
come up with these concepts and, here's your options and you could do this, you can't do this.
Yeah.
You could do this, but it's a terrible idea. I think,
Somebody might come up with something clever. I'm afraid with the stage that that's gonna get a lot of resistance. Just because, there's so much history.
I feel like,
I don't know if I'd wanna remove the.
are we short on office space here? Is there someone missing an office?
No, I think we're short, and again, I'm hesitant to say that. I think we need to do some planning. And sit down and figure out what our needs are. I mean, you have the entire half of this building, is 2 people in it. Like, that's so much wasted space, and I know that's part of what they're gonna restructure, and, you have a room that duplicates this downstairs that's got a bunch of empty file cabinets in it.
When the girls were little, I guess I'm getting older now, when the girls were little, they would come here and they would do Girl Scouts upstairs.
Yeah,
The Girl Scouts stuff.
Yeah.
But does anybody even, are there any like groups that come in anymore and use
not
the
really,
space?
'cause they're meetings, it's very, because the select board has an emergency meeting.
Why doesn't the select board meet in here?
Because I think the upstairs space has a bigger capacity for an audience, so when you have 20, 30 people show up to the
Okay.
meetings.
Smaller groups will be done.
I mean, I found this to be much more functional, like for our meeting.
Yeah,
Board of Health meets up there, which I think it's like, there's like 3 of them, and then
it's like you echo and you hear like the creaking and then it just.
So, it's a weird meeting
Small.
space.
Meetings.
But it seems to me like there needs to be some sort of a study committee, advisory
Cohesive,
committee.
long-range plan.
Right, before we just start cutting holes in walls and moving things willy-nilly and moving this here, moving this there, like, there needs to be a plan, and we all need to agree to it, and then we execute the plan.
Right now you.
Not just solving short-term problems.
Employees need to agree to it.
And I
The
don't,
whole work, you
yeah.
have to know what's coming down the pike, and that it will serve what their needs are instead of.
Yeah, but there's been no fault of anybody current either, I don't wanna, there hasn't been that discussion,
Right.
somebody has an idea and then,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's what it takes, you've gotta keep tossing it around and saying, yeah, maybe, no, maybe.
and, I don't,
But I'll send you all, I told Kat I would send her the pictures of the performances on stage and
Yeah,
upstairs in the town hall. Really cool. Some of them are a little questionable.
I'd say a couple of them on blackface.
Yeah, the blackface.
Oh.
It was a different time.
But even Alan Tatro will tell you,
Yeah.
when they were in like the fourth grade or something, they all did a presentation up there for their parents and they were all up on the stage, so. It's like, that's really cool. The other thing I have to get from Alan is they found something in a file cabinet when they were moving the file cabinets at Clough, when they were redoing Clough. And behind the file cabinet was a couple of pages that Alan wrote that said, "I will not talk in class." And I said,
That's really
I
cute.
need a copy of that for the museum.
What if that's what they use the space for with the stage, like almost made it another point for a museum, so like it's not functional, but like have the walls be like
Right.
display other pieces.
Right, right. I mean,
Like
that
almost like
would be
a-
Great.
Yeah,
So record room. We have the record room.
I brought the floor
I was
seal.
wondering what you had there. Yeah, so at some point, I gotta find some people to help. I think I'm just gonna take that desk for parks.
Is this for the record room? For refinish?
This is the original flooring. This is the new flooring that we selected, which was, I think, Dan, was it the natural, or no, I think it was number 2 natural grade. So I believe it's this one here that we picked. And what he asked us to do is, some of the flooring is, the original flooring is dark. Wait a minute, here's select grade.
Yeah, so because right now do you have a picture of it? I have a picture of it, because I
You have
sent
a picture of it.
so they can see what it looks like.
This maple, and beach, maple, it looks like maple.
Yeah, that's my picture that I sent.
That's not oak.
No, we sent the original, that's the
It's
original.
not oak.
Oh, yeah, that's
I know my voice, Kathy.
here. So this is what the record room currently looks like.
You wanna see. All right, that's what the original floor looks like right now.
So he mixed the old with the
What's your
new.
first thought? Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Well,
So,
what are
yeah.
you doing with, what are you doing in the rest of the space? Like, what color are the walls gonna be? Is there gonna be baseboard, like, or is that just? I
think the wainscoting that's there
So the
will stay in place, that's this here.
Oh, that's
that
that
is
color.
round,
Oh.
yeah.
So that has like a natural stain on it, no one painted it.
No, it was staged, I think.
Mold.
Is that mold?
Dust, mold, something, water damage,
That's not good,
more work to be done.
because if there's mold, take that out.
And that is old mold, that is from, I mean, there were literally 6 to 8 inches.
So this has an oil on it, but that's not paint.
Right, so what we would try to do is kind of match that original flooring, the new flooring to the original. There's probably gonna be a little bit of a variation, but it won't be as
That's okay.
noticeable as that.
How many pieces have to get pulled out?
This is
It's all done.
This is the done floor. This is
Oh,
clean and
It
fixed
is,
and good.
so the dark stripes that you see are the original
That's
pieces.
how much you had to replace.
Yeah,
Yeah, once they sand it all out, yeah, you might, because what happens over time is the sun just kind of beats down on it and it
Right.
gets dark, so. Unless you try and stain it to match the old.
I'm trying to think that I was thinking that we would try to stain it dark and just let Mother Nature take over.
Yeah. I mean, you're still probably gonna see it, but you can try and match it,
Right.
because otherwise you're gonna have like the bowling alley feel no matter what you do.
Right. And it depends too on how you use the space, if it,
Unless that has like an oiled finish on it, I'm not there, so I can't tell. But I'd be concerned if it were me, because for me, the area that had the mold, I would, and this is the trim board that's on.
Yeah.
The wainscoting. I would take it out, remove it, and then have whoever does the stuff go to a millwork and have it,
Yeah, I mean, I think.
have
it's
to replace it. I mean,
Yes.
you're not gonna get rid of that mold.
We don't have, so that's gonna have to be part of phase two.
Yeah, it's gotta get, cause well, what's gonna happen is it spreads because it's there, so it grows, mold grows.
We'd have to go look and see, is that mold or is it dirt or is it, I
That's
don't know,
mold.
but.
It's look pretty
Well,
microbial.
I'm pretty sure it was mold.
Yeah, at this point, I think we need to close this
Do
out.
your best to
And then
like bleach it
figure
and
out
clean it for
part
now,
two.
but that's, if it's
Right.
been there so long, it probably needs to be cut out. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it's good to know because, you know, we want the space to get used, we want it to be a safe space.
Yeah.
And yeah, if it does end up being another phase of,
Well, cause you don't want it to grow and like continue and
Right.
get into the areas that you've already replaced.
Right.
There may be funding left, but we won't know until this is
Yeah.
done.
right,
Okay. In the meantime, somebody should get over there with some Clorox and try and keep that puppy at
that'll
bay.
be me. Getting used to Clorox and everything.
And wear a mask when you do it. Mold can cause like serious problems, fertility problems.
All kinds of good ones.
But yeah, so I don't know.
So what is the consensus? What do people think will work with that floor?
I think you need to talk to the flooring contractor and ask them who's putting in the floor.
Jay,
The same.
yeah, the same guys that did all the other work.
Construction.
So they should be able to tell you what you should do.
Well, this was their suggestion, was to take the samples, put some different colored stains that we thought we would like.
They told you to put different color to figure it out, they put it.
Yeah, so that we could guide the process. Cause we just didn't think that leaving it the way it looks right now is gonna be.
You know what I would do? I would take this to, Koopmans. The problem is sometimes you get the teenagers at Koopmans. I would
Yeah.
take it to like, or even like Sherwin-Williams in Franklin. And I wish we had a piece of the wood
I know, I was looking for one, but I couldn't.
that was that dark color, cause you're saying this is original,
That
why
dark
does this original one not have that dark?
Cause it's been sanded out,
Oh,
but they
so,
only did those pieces.
okay, so hold on, so then that wood does have an oil finish on it, a stain on it, cause if this is sanded out.
That was on the wall, that's the way.
No, I know, but if you look at the floor there, right? So at some point, somebody put a finish down on the floors in there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So if you sand them out, just throw, for two of these, this is a newer one, right? This is new,
Yes, I believe that's the new one.
these are different woods or something? Anyway, so
Yeah, they are.
you're gonna want, for one of them, if it were me, I would just do a clear polyurethane coating on one of them and see how bad it is, cause it actually might be fine. So this one,
I have to find his emails. I left 2 flooring samples, one is select grade maple, the other is natural grade maple. I also made a sample of the original flooring to compare. If you or someone in the town can select one of the 2 samples, I'd like to discuss how you'd like me to incorporate the new and the old, whether we mix it.
Oh.
Cause he has to sand it, that's
black
left.
grade,
We need to sand it and polyurethane.
so this is like your nicer maple, right?
Yeah,
And then this is like kinda
the
like
natural.
Yeah, and I don't know which one you picked.
probably gonna do
I
the
think we did
select.
that one, Dan.
The select one? Okay, so if you pick the select, take one of these and one of these and put a clear polyurethane coating. Is he gonna do like an oil grade or is he gonna do,
Specified, so.
so I would do clear on this, see how different they are. And then move to the same, because if it were me and this were my house, I'd probably wanna see how it would come out naturally with just a clear coating.
Right,
See
right.
how bad it truly is. And then maybe try and find a
The
spot.
problem is the part we aren't addressing is, you know, the wainscoting on the wall, so, I mean, we will have this color.
Yeah, I think,
Okay,
Whether we
but
like it or
that might be a nice contrast, that might look really pretty. And it depends on what you're gonna paint the walls above too.
I will do that.
And then you can,
Ship it out and everybody can take it.
because if you stain the floors to match that,
It's really dark.
no, now it's gonna be like camouflage, the floor and the walls have no beginning and end. So it's nice to have the lighter floor and then the darker wainscoting.
I love it.
Okay.
I love what you're saying.
That's just my opinion, you
No,
know,
I agree with you 1,000%.
but
So nice to have somebody else have to make this. Who knows what they're talking about?
yeah, we're gonna get that desk out of there at some point.
Yeah.
But I
You
think,
know what,
well, I think I wanna take it for parks and trash, well, we have one that's like falling apart, but I'm gonna need people to move it.
Have you ever been able to get Mike to come and cut down those shrubs that are eating that building up?
I would say if there's a specific request, we should document it and submit it to John so it can get put in the queue. That's the
I'm
process.
very worried. Do you have critters? Evidence bees, have the bees.
Where is
been
it
up?
out?
At the parks.
Oh, let's talk about that later.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
I just remember there were bees there.
Yeah, let's
You got rid of them?
get into that another time.
That was years ago too.
So what else then? Where's the agenda? Wait, that's done, so yeah, so we'll figure out that, so I'm just letting you know we're on hold till we figure out.
Alright, so I'll do a practice run with a clear varnish and then a poly, and then I'll do a lighter color and see how it looks.
and
He's gonna know what he's planning on using, I don't know, or maybe he wants to make.
and don't do high gloss.
Oh God, no,
No.
I don't. I can't do gloss.
And then I put only Cook on here just as a continued placeholder.
I think now that we've gotten the weights and measures done,
Yeah.
we are working on the signs. We, will push the records room through. And we still have to do the gutters.
But see, now that's another thing I think, the gutters for the record room. I was gonna say, the gutters for this needs to be part of this large project.
Yeah, I mean, I would table this, let everybody else discuss it, and come up with some ideas, but I think we need to close out all of these open things
Yeah.
that have been hanging on this.
What are you gonna do for gutters on the record room? Are you gonna do like, just like gutters?
No
or
idea.
Well, I think that's where it also stalled out, and where I think we again probably need to come up with something and run it by the state for approval, because
It's not gonna be copper's gonna be wicked expensive.
Right. And I don't think they're gonna be that tight, with us on.
I feel like Brennan had a sample product, and I forget why we tabled it, I think because it was just too much to deal with at the time. I think he had an option,
Okay, all right, I'll ask him
I don't
again.
remember where that left off, but
And then, all right, so I will call
we figure out, and then figuring out the next steps, I know I talked to Mark as well about that space,
Yeah.
Even if it's an agreement for a short-term thing,
Right.
maybe there's a compromise to be had that it's, not a permanent use. But,
But it would be nice for the building to be used. I hate to see it go empty.
do something that has an end date and say, we're gonna try this for 2 years and try it out and see what happens, and maybe that is acceptable or not, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
I really wanted you to be there.
What is this?
No, you, about the block. And we didn't have the right space across the street.
Oh, I'm like, what are you talking about? That's fine. It's just too small for us.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so cute. I'm glad it's cute. I gave him a name. So maybe did he figure out somebody that he's
I
on?
don't know, he's still kind of working on it. If all the bond was available, would that be enough?
Maybe
I think that,
save this till we're
Sorry.
done with the meeting, just because everything is being recorded.
Okay, sorry.
right,
Yeah.
Because it's anything confidential. It's a public record. So is there anything else for us? Are we good?
Yes, we're
Sorry, sorry.
good. Metal detecting.
Oh, so Joanne, maybe you were there, Joanne texted me, and I told her to call the cops. Apparently somebody showed up at Founder's Park with a metal detector.
I spent 2 hours with this gentleman telling him he could not metal detect on Founder's Park. It started there, he showed up at the police station, I had to go to the police station, I had to discuss it with the chief and the sergeant, and I need to produce the paperwork that says there's no metal detecting on.
Oh, so I'm glad you mentioned this, so that's something I think the Parks Commission can make that determination that is a park.
Right. So
Because I'd like, I mean, we need to trespass people.
wait, did you find anything?
well, whatever it was, whatever was, I mean, Founder's Park has been pretty well cleaned out by a gentleman from Milton. He gave us a few pieces, but ran with the rest, and, to me, that's very disappointing, is they're going and selling your history. Regardless of whether or not it's public land, it's just not right,
Almost a violation.
Yeah, exactly, so it was left that, the minute you put a shovel in the ground, you're destroying public property. So that was kind of the resolve for that issue, but I mean, clearly we need to post signs that say
No.
no metal detecting allowed.
Well, I think because I think you have three boards, it's the Parks Commission, the Conservation Commission, and the Select Board, and manage property, so all three of those groups should adopt a uniform policy.
Right,
And I feel like this came up once before,
yeah,
and we kind of pushed it down the road, and unfortunately, they don't want to enforce anything unless it's like in black and white, because they don't want to deal with any, they just want it to be clean.
right,
Could the society or someone bring their own metal detector out and see if they find anything? Because that would be kind of cool.
Well, I think the recommendation from the state is that metal detecting outside of an archaeological survey is bad.
right, which we've done work with, the Pawtucket Archaeological Lab. They did the only cook shop, and they
Okay.
surveyed the whole area, but there's also a couple of other spots that we'd like them to do, so if we can get grant money to get them to come out.
That
Because
would
I
be
think
cool.
it's really interesting to do archaeological things.
This town was so old.
Right, exactly.
And in Founder's Park, there were buildings there at one point.
There was, I believe it was an inn and a store, and all of that land was given to create the park, but the Minutemen, who were eating across the street at the tavern, but, that's where they started their march, so.
Maybe they lost a button.
Yeah, there were some buttons, and there were a couple of coins.
Right.
That were on Founder's Park, so.
Here we go. There was a whole thread about, Jason's on this too, good, about a policy for rodenticides. And the same thing, it was gonna need to be like a three-way policy,
Okay,
because like certain boards have jurisdiction over certain properties, but same deal, I think there should be, get all these groups to agree on this
Right.
policy, basically it's not allowed, or it's only allowed with written permission of the mayor and authority.
in other communities have done it, they've kind
It's
of.
curious though, because usually they're pretty respectful, so I'm surprised that this gentleman was a problem.
He would not quit,
What did they do? Did they nothing, or did they finally tell him to take a hike?
Well, they told him if if there was damage to public property, it'd be an issue. So, but he still sat for another hour in his car outside the police station.
Just go somewhere else.
And
But you know what?
gave him places to go look.
Because it was a gentleman that emailed me.
I don't go to the
And
woods.
he was very nice.
It's my only day off.
Okay, go somewhere. But also,
there's just something.
There was something.
It's like, there's like, you have to have like the personality to be able to just like, cause it just feels like, even if it's like public property, it just feels,
Yeah.
it's cool, I think it's really cool.
I think it is cool too, and I understand the conflict that arises.
Right?
Well, I think I told this gentleman before, it was like, go to the beach, have at it, go to the
Right,
parks,
right.
you're helping us, you're finding potentially hazards, you know, our only condition is you find, you know, like somebody's valuables. But, well, you know, you find less than that.
Looking for is valuables.
Well, that's just it, I mean, you put two and two together, okay, it's a 250, and yeah, history, you know, has noted that, you know, the Minutemen were there. So now we have to be tight-lipped about everything.
We'll have to look into that.
Could they make it a bylaw, or should the committee review both?
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I think it can be, so like the Parks Commission has the authority to make rules for use of the parks.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be any further than that, and then conservation for conservation land, and then select board for the extra land, like in the hill is select board.
Yeah.
I think that's all it needs. That was the same thing as the rodenticide thing, it was, you know, basically a townwide policy on the use of certain, rodent killers that are herring, that are killing all the birds.
In the house.
Yeah. That Isabel brought that up and basically said we should have a policy and.
We should have a
Responsible-
townwide policy,
Yeah.
so is it only on public?
So this was gonna be a town policy, so saying that like, if I contract a pest control company at the park, they need to follow these rules, but what you do in your private home is none of our business. But at least what we're doing on town
We
property.
need to.
So the answer was, thank you, the agenda's packed, we'll look at this in the near future, and that was in April.
I was coming up the driveway 2 nights ago, there was an owl that was this big. It was
sick, was it?
enormous. No, it was having a snack. I believe the snack was a little eroded, but its wings went up and it was like this big, and I said, oh my God, there's a paper bag or something floating around on the side of the driveway. I'm like, oh my God, look at that. But weirdly enough, I've seen it
The barred owl?
sitting, but it was like whitish gray. It was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But I have seen him sitting around the corner. There's a granite post at, oh God, it's near the corner of, Copper Hill. And he's sitting there, like, and I thought, oh, you know, Sharon put out a fake owl. I'm like, oh my God, it's a real owl, holy crap.
That's so cool, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty
More to
spectacular.
Protect them, but, you know.
I always do, here's one other thing, the community preservation. If we wanna potentially, there's a question of restructuring, so are you, I guess, right now Kathy is the Historic Commission's representative, the Community Preservation Commission. I was a Parks rep, I am no longer, because I'm no longer on Parks. Yeah, because we had people running, so I'm still the employee for Parks, it's just,
Oh.
I'm no longer a commissioner. So the question is, and there's an at-large seat that was approved for CPA. So I think if you, are you intending to stay on the Historic Commission?
For a little bit
Because
longer.
your appointment is, I don't know if you saw an email.
Yeah, I
Should
know,
have
so.
sent that out.
Believe me.
So I think the question was if you, unless, I don't know if anybody else is interested, but you could, if you made me the historic representative of CPA, and then you could continue as the at-large member.
I would like that.
And then that would mean if you left historic, you could remain the at-large member of CPA
Right,
and
right.
just be involved in that capacity,
I-
because that's
that
not
would be
tied to the
perfect.
board.
Yeah.
Interestingly, it turns out the select board appointment does not need to be one of them after reading that bylaw again.
Really?
I mean, I think it should be, but
Yeah.
it technically doesn't, it can be anybody. Is or will be
I
might.
think it alleviates a lot of confusion when you have multiple reps who have ears, you know.
Well, I think it was Mike Goddard for a while, I think it was helpful.
Yeah, it definitely was.
So I guess that's the question, if, and I don't know if anybody else is interested in becoming the historics representative on the Community Preservation Committee. Basically, CPA has to recommend all uses of CPA funds before it goes to town meeting.
we just need more people, cause I am so
Yeah, we
busy
need more
that
people
I
on both of these
don't
commissions, big time.
barely have time to like, you know,
I don't know.
have a life.
I mean, the one good thing about the CPA is that Ian Mazar does all the note taking. She does a phenomenal job at that, at making proposals, at, discussing, what's up and running. I don't think we've ever had a meeting that's lasted more than a half an hour, so. She's good, she engages people.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a chance to talk and sort through some things, but I think she clears up a lot of questions before you even get to the meeting, so, everybody kind of knows which direction everything's going.
Yeah.
So. It's one of the easier.
I'm certainly interested in continuing to stay involved on that side.
Yeah,
Because I helped her with a lot of the finance things.
right, and you guys, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of collaboration there, so.
And Steve Abbott now is the parks person.
Good.
So I don't know if we wanna vote on that or save that for a meeting or what, I mean, I don't know when they're doing these appointments or. I think the at-large member needs to be appointed by the select board. I think that's what Ann said, she needs to send in a request.
Okay, all right, so I mean, are you all right with me being the at-large?
Yeah, I think, and if that's the case, if the committee's willing to vote me to be the, unless somebody else wants it to be the rep, the historic rep to CPA.
I don't even think I'm technically on a historic commission, so I don't think I can.
Yeah, you actually, do we have a quorum of historic? We do, it's Kathy, Deb, Christina. That's right. Yeah, we really need to get like a couple more members on both.
I mean, I sit here through it anyway, so it doesn't matter to me, but I just feel like I don't.
Well, historic's allowed to have, both are allowed to have alternates. I mean,
Oh,
district is the one that's like, we almost, basically they have to sit and do nothing until September 1st. If we can't act on their application, they have to sit for 45 days.
So is Karen still?
She said, yeah, so she sent an email and said something came up, she couldn't be here tonight.
Okay,
I don't
and
know
I
if
mean,
everything's okay.
based on kind of the feedback and just having opportunities to talk to people, we may get a few more people to step up. Just to have expressed an interest in the history, to getting involved with the 250s, so.
Let's do that, Ariel doesn't.
I know, I don't know if the.
I thought maybe she was on the
Lisa's
deed too, but it sounds like it's just the mom.
has more, has involvement too. It'd be nice to get somebody from Washington Street over there
No way.
on that side of things.
So it is just the mom that's on the deed then?
I think,
Or is-
I didn't look that close. I'm not entirely sure, Mass is a little weird how it considers residency, but my guess is she's registered to vote in Uxbridge, she cannot serve. committees in
Oh, that makes sense, it's not just like a ownership. Cause it's not her primary residence.
Yeah,
Got you. There's no point then, don't worry about it.
I'm just in terms of, it'd be nice to have more people on that committee with some more expertise that we don't always have.
Right.
Is Hazel?
Hazel needs to get reappointed and needs to get sworn in. She's kind of in a weird state of limbo because she never followed through on anything.
Yeah,
And again, she's another one that like, she's got all this knowledge.
She
It's very
Yeah.
useful.
She has a lot. Well,
We definitely need more people, but anyway, all right, so that, I think, I guess,
that wraps it up.
from historic, there's some kind of a motion about the CPA appointment,
I don't think that I can.
so moved.
but I wasn't going to because it was me.
Oh.
I move to appoint Dan Byer as the primary seat on the CPA in Kathy's. Can I do this? Kathy Schofield is the alternate.
Well, no, so it's,
I can't.
the historic commission has one appointment to CPA and that's it. That's-
Oh, okay,
That's
all
what
right.
we're able to vote on.
All right,
The
so-
at-large members appointed by the select board.
All right, so I move to appoint Dan Byer as CPA representative for the Historic Commission.
Second.
So, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then have Ann send in a letter about the alternate to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So they can hopefully do that before the September meeting. What did she say we're not meeting? Or the
Until
meeting tomorrow will be
September.
September.
But I did, I let her
Yeah.
know that I was game for that. So.
And certainly if someone else wants to get involved, they're welcome to it. But, all right, I think that's now everything.
Yeah. Does anybody want to go up and take a
Yeah, I'll
look at
take a look.
the stage and
So
mention?
we're adjourning at 8:41. Stop it.
Little girls,